In order to get out of turning Shriekwind Bastion into a museum, by hand, over the course of probably 7 years Hragnette moved north to the city of Whiterun, a walled city which dominates the abnormally yellow plains of Whiterun Hold. It isn't clear, actually, whether the hold's named after the city or the city's named after the hold, but it's quite a charming place nonetheless. Hragnette quickly made friends with Adrienne. Could be something to do with the fact that she's by far her best customer for crossbow bolts, or it could be something to do with the fact that they both have ginger hair.
The finest weapons in
It is a lovely city, but my thoughts begin to turn now to the question of whether they have room in the court for another civil servant. Otherwise, this is going to be a pretty boring series. And it isn't as if in the long term Hragnette would be happy simply not having a job. You need to do an honest day's work every week or two to make life feel like it matters. Like it means something.
You're not thinking of causing trouble here in this beautiful city now, are you? Because I'd strongly advise against such foolishness.
Oh no, of course not. I'm a traveling civil servant from Falkreath who came here to seek my fortune. You look like a man who knows what he's doing. I mean, like a man who has some influence here. You the Jarl or the steward, perhaps? You wouldn't happen to have work for a traveling civil servant, would you? Well, I'm glad to see you have a good first impression of me, young lady, but I'm not the Jarl. I'm Caius, commander of the Whiterun City Guard. Normally we wouldn't have much use for a traveling civil servant. I've never even heard of such a thing. But actually, in this case, you might be in luck. You see, the Whiterun Plains have always been home to a large population of giants, but in recent years somebody installed a mod which adds female giants, which understandably has led to quite the population explosion. The Jarl was hoping for someone to conduct a census of the giants and their pet mammoths, to investigate whether the population boom could potentially become a problem. And you, traveling civil servant that you are, seem like just the person for the job. Would you be willing to conduct this giant census? Giant census? Well, if I hadn't heard that preamble, it'd sound like a very large census. But on the understanding that you want me to conduct a census of the giants, I'd be happy to, and the mammoths. It's important we keep an eye on the population of them, too. Alright, and the mammoths? Well, I'd be happy to.
I'll take my leave then.
The census of giants and their pet mammoths does sound like quite a sizable undertaking. But it's better than building a museum. Who wants to spend all day building a museum when you could be out in the fresh air, counting giants and counting mammoths, and running away from giants and trying not to get stepped on by mammoths? The Whiterun tundra, runs from around here to down here. Riverwood's part of Whiterun, but it isn't in the tundra, so it runs along here. Granite Hill's part of Falkreath, so it runs along here. Up here, around here, and along here to here, encircling this bit here. I think everywhere there's orange grass falls under Whiterun's territory, and everywhere there's dark green, craggy grass falls under Markarth's territory. Feels a bit nicer not to be lugging that big dwarven shield around, doesn't it? Of course the shield's still there, stuffed in Hragnette's little pouch, and... Unfortunately, that's a sabre cat. And that seems to be a spriggan. And that seems to be a dead person. And that seems to be another dead person. There is a hill above the road, providing some cover, which means it should... Oh dear, the sabre cat has in fact heard us. Just up here should be the giants' encampment. They've put paint on the stairs to mark their territory. Paint on the boulders too. Some very interesting designs they have. Golden Rock, I believe the place is called, and now finally we can begin the census. One adult male giant, at least presumably, he has a beard. 2 adult male giants. A skull. A cave. Some flowers. Up here on the little rock part we have... big campfire. It's uncomfortably warm to stand close to it. Some bowls of mammoth cheese. Take a little sample of that for supper. As uncomfortable a prospect as it might be, we are going to have to check inside the cave for more giants. This gentleman doesn't seem particularly keen on the idea, so perhaps we'll wait for them both to go to bed. Those two seem to be awake now. But luckily it seems they're content to let Hragnette leave in peace. And perhaps put some furs down and have a comfortable night's sleep next to the massive campfire. Did you have a comfortable night's sleep up there, Hragnette? No, not really. Those giants both snored like giants. And at about 4 o'clock in the morning, one of them mistook me for a hot water bottle. It was all I could do to wrest myself out of his grip. Why do you have a Welsh accent now, Hragnette? I don't know, do I? You're the one voicing me, aren't you, boyo? You deal with it. There are 2 giant encampments quite close to Whiterun. Liquid Kiss and Secunda's Basin, I believe they're called. Secunda's Basin should be just along here, past the city and the farms. Having fun, are we, Hragnette? This looks like a more populated camp. Here we have a couple of giant children. They're already a bit bigger than Hragnette, but these would be the equivalent to a 10 or perhaps an 11-year-old. An adult male here by the fire, plus a sabre cat who's presumably been flattened. Might be best not to stand right... it seems they've taken... It seems they take a pretty poor stance on Hragnette's lack of respect to safety around open flames. There's another adult male chasing her on the other side of this pond. Here we have a tamed mammoth calf, 2 more mammoths. Excuse me just a moment, won't you? Oh dear, there's that sabre cat joining the fray. Jesus wept, he's strong. Or she's strong, or they're strong. But not as strong as a giant. Unfortunately, that means Hragnette is definitely not as strong as a giant, so perhaps now would be a good time to leave the area? Who the f***'s this? Who the flip's this now? Do you mind, sir? Do you mind? Why are you, Hragnette, why did you have... Ah, there we go. No more assassin. But still very much a giant. Is he still coming? Is the giant still coming? Jesus wept he is, isn't he? Well, that was a fun night spent waiting in the Temple of Kinnereth for all our broken bones to knit back together. But anyway, we know how many giants live in Secunda's Basin, so now it's time to go and have a look at Bleakwind Kiss, which I believe is somewhere along the southern mountain range. And now it's starting to rain. Just brilliant. Still, at least that means more puddles to jump in. For those who partake, at any rate. For f***'s sake, not another one of you... Always bloody sabre cats, isn't it? Well, I'll have your eye for payment, sir. Or whatever your honorific of choice is. Now then, here's Bleakwind Kiss. I see we have a giant there. One giant child, one adult man giant. Some lovely standing stones. A pet elk. Another adult man giant and giant child. Not a lot of female giants around here. Maybe female giants have beards and no chest. So to human eyes, excuse you, elk, so to human eyes they look exactly like men. Wouldn't that be interesting? It looks like quite a big camp, with 2 campfires and all that territory, and this shelf here. Although not many giants for such a big encampment. And I notice not many... Ah, time for a relaxing game of Chase the Elk. What fun! What fun! Time for Hragnette to steal everything not nailed down. What fun! What fun!
Weren't expecting that, were you?
There's another giant camp along here, one which seems to have quite an unusual glowing purple tree in the middle. They have mammoths, I see. Some giants. Quite a small camp compared to Secunda's Basin and Bleakwind Kiss Basin, Secunda Bleakwind Pheasant. Alright there, Pheasant. So, 2 mammoths, big campfire, this dead wolf, 1 adult giant, and the tree, and a fox, and some nern root. That's always useful to have. You really don't like foxes, do you, sir? Another cave. Maybe they use it as a pantry. There's a giant in here. Probably best not to get too close to him. Alright, bye, sir. We don't yet seem to have seen any of those female giants Commander Caius mentioned. Maybe they're out fishing. Maybe it's a hen night. Or maybe... What are these when they're at home? It looks like a couple of ancient huts. Jesus wept! Do you have to... Bloody sabre cats all over the shop, and I'm trying to look at the ancient huts with their ancient little flower gardens and the bloody... Here's Rorikstead now, a village best known for being called Rorikstead. And somewhere near Rorikstead should be another giant camp, possibly the last of the main giant settlements in Whiterun Hold. Couple of elk I see, and down there the giant camp. Talking Stone Camp, it's called. Quite a nice little place. I see we have a child and an adult male there. Another child. And down here we have a dead bandit. Commiserations to him, I'm sure. And more bandits, and 2 mammoths. And a mammoth calf. Looks like the bandits have been quite effectively repelled. Well done there, Mammoth. And you. What is that then? 2 more giant men, 2 more children, and 2 more mammoths, and 1 more mammoth calf. One of the dead bandits had this fur hood, which is much comfier and nicer looking than Hragnette's other hat. See, we have another mammoth calf here, a bit away from the herd. I checked the mod page. It's Giants Expansion by Mihail mods. There should be female giants showing up, but for some reason there aren't any. I suppose we just got a bit unlucky this time. Can she outrun the skull? Can she outrun the skull? Yes, just about. Now look at this. What a sorry sight. Now, during this transitional cabbage-related period, I feel I should let you know I did a bit of research in the future, a week or so after I filmed this. I opened up Giants Expansion in Xedit, and it turns out there aren't any giantesses meant to spawn in the Whiterun Tundra area. They're all further up north. Which I believe is for lore reasons, because they stay further up north, where it's chillier, so they can enjoy wearing all their heavy furs without getting too hot and sweaty. Yeah, I think that's what giantesses do. It's also called Giants Overhaul, not Giants Expansion. That's Giants Overhaul, not Giants Expansion. They're overhauled, not expanded. The giants are already so big you can't possibly expand them. They take up the whole tundra. They can, however, be quite comfortably overhauled. Well, isn't that an unusual sight? A mammoth. Judging by the size of its tusks, a male mammoth. And it just died there. And there's another mammoth jumping a bit. And some people out taking the air by this big castle thingy. Well, since neither of those mammoths were in the herds tended by giants, I suppose we needn't really worry about them. It seems like we're coming to the end of the census now. But let's check first whether there are any giants tucked away behind Whiterun. This is interesting. A mammoth skeleton, it seems to be. And a pretty big one at that. The size of that tusk. You could practically do something with it that's only accomplishable with a very large tusk. For example, you could brace quite a large tunnel. That one, for example. I wonder where it leads. Under the city or around the city? Why did you power attack? It doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Deploy the Spriggan, and...
Welcome to Eldar's Junk Emporium, traveler. I'll take any junk you find on your travels for a nominal fee.
For a small fee you'll take. Does that mean you want me to pay you to take my junk? And stuff I've picked up?
That's right. A flat fee of 20 gold for taking your junk off your hands. I'll also take any items of acceptable value. Now, you can hand over any items to me, or you can leave them in the chest. It's all on the honor system. So drop what you can, take what you must. That's our motto here at Eldar's Junk Emporium.
Well, this is quite an unusual shop, certainly. What sort of stuff do you have on sale, Eldar?
Glass jars? Of course. They come in broken and busted.
Look at this. Baskets, brooms, burned books, charcoal, irons, elk hide, empty bottles, flagons, frostbite venom. Little girl's dress. 87 of these. Mystery of Talara, Volume 1. Song of Pelinal, Volume 3. Wooden bowls, wooden plates. Now, what was going on with that obelisk? Not an awful lot, it seems like. Looks like a burial ground for mammoths. And a laying ground for birds. There is, of course, one giant which we've forgotten so far. One giant whose club seems to be floating in the air for some reason. I speak, of course, of none other than the giant who assaulted Pelagia Farm a couple of days ago. Evidently, no one's been here to collect the body yet, so he's just lying there. Given that he's currently dead, I don't think it'd be right to include him in the census. But it's as well to make a note of the fact that he's here. They can probably put him on the compost heap, if nothing else. Leave him for a couple of years and get some fertilizer that makes the potatoes grow as big as barrels. Because I'm certain, scientifically speaking, that's how fertilizer works. Anyway, time to head in and give our report to Commander Caius. In bed already, Commander? Sure as bones, it's only 7:30.
Why you?
I'm here to deliver my report on the census into giant and mammoth populations. There were exactly 10 giant men, 6 giant children, 6 adult mammoths, and 3 mammoth calves. I did not actually find any giant women. Really? You didn't find a single one of them? Well, that is quite disappointing. I was hoping I'd get to see one up close. I certainly wish you the best of luck in that endeavor, Commander. Sorry the news wasn't what you were hoping for. I'll let you get back to your rest. Where could those giantesses be, anyway? I definitely have the right mod installed. It's a real poser, honestly. Oh my gosh, there they are! But why? What are all these giant ladies doing in the city? And why are they trying to smash everything to pieces? The market's right there. Could be... I'm just speculating here, but it could be... they came here to go shopping. Or maybe they all have family in the city and they wanted to pay a visit. Maybe they got fed up with Commander Caius and they came here to pay him a visit. With their clubs and their, oh god, oh dear, we're going to die, aren't we? Well, so ends another exciting day in the life of a travelling civil servant.